This is the third episode in a four-part series about impact films, with filmmakers creating projects to bring awareness to a specific need or cause. Stories have the power to educate, inspire, and create change. Listen to hear stories and strategies from filmmakers who are making a difference with their films.
This is the Faith and Family Filmmakers Podcast, helping filmmakers who share a Christian worldview stay in touch, informed, and inspired. Quiet on set. Rolling. Today's host is Geoffrey Whitt.
Welcome to the Faith and Family Filmmakers Podcast. I'm Jeff, and I'm really excited today to be back with you and to have our guest, Rahn Springer. After 39 years in real estate, including commercial, investment, corporate, and brokerage, as a follower of Jesus Christ, Rahn asked, "What project can I use my gifts, talents, experience, and resources to make a difference?" The result? Dogs on Duty, the Doguseries, and this Paws For You podcast. His first three short films out of the gate as executive producer, Zoom Time, Birthday Brash, and Lifeless, a musical zomedy, have been award-winning. Rahn and his wife, Holly, live in the Pacific Northwest, and when not working on projects, enjoy various outdoor activities that the area has to offer, building their 5.5-acre homestead project and church and ministry ventures. Welcome, Rahn.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, it's so great to have you. I'm familiar with, I became familiar with you originally because of those short films, Zoom Time, Birthday Brash. I saw them at a film festival. And then Lifeless, you worked as an executive producer. Christopher Sean Shaw was the director.
Yes.
And of course, at least two of those had Aaron Fullen in them.
Yes.
Actually, both these people have been on our podcast. Really creative, interesting projects. That's for sure.
And a lot of fun.
Yeah. And I believe Darren Cogan was the writer on all three of those projects.
Actually, all of three of those as well. And then Victoria Jackson was in the last two as well. And what a fun group of creatives, people that really want to glorify the Lord with their talents and gifts. And it's just a lot of fun to do this stuff.
Yeah. Do you know, I'm just going to ask now. We usually do this type of thing at the end, but while we're talking about it, are all three of these available somewhere that people can watch these?
Yes, each one is available on, I think, different platforms, but all, if you search them, even on YouTube, you'll find them. If you go to one of our websites, they link as well, our main website, Springer EE, so our last name with the 2es.com. And so those are the our links, but they're out there as well. So all for free as last I checked.
Yeah. If you haven't seen them, very unique, Zoom Time and Birthday Brash, and funny. And then Lifeless, a musical zomedy, also very unique. I think it really blew me away. Just totally unexpected to put zombies with a faith message. It was really, really, really great.
It's been a lot of fun just to share that with people and say it's a zombie film with a gospel twist, and you get a really weird look.
So let's go back because I read in your bio that you did some work in film, advertising, voiceover, and so on, I think during your years in real estate prior to your working on as an executive producer on these films or short films. Tell us about that. How did you get started in this? What was your journey?
Well, I've had an interest since I was a kid. I grew up near Southern California, actually Bakersfield, which is the southern part of the San Joaquin Valley, the big valley in the middle of California, and had family and friends in and around the industry and was always fascinated. I actually wanted to be a cinematographer or a director of photography when I was in high school. I was really into that, but realized that I also had an interest in doing other types of speaking and things like that. And so I had to find a job when I got out of college. So high school, college, and did things in college as well, but had to pay the bills and got a day job. But I was always doing something, either at church or eventually then community theater, or moved on to doing some voiceover and even working commercials. And so just as a side gig to help me stay sane from the day job. So that's what that did. But I always kept my skills going and just learning and exploring. And then got to the point where I could retire and, the Lord gave me some gifts. I need to go use them.
Right. So we're going to talk primarily today about Dogs on Duty, the Doguseries. Interesting title. And we're going to learn about that because this interview is part of our series on awareness films. So we want to talk about this. Obviously, there's a purpose, there's a mission behind it. And so let's hear it.
All right. So this started with I was taking a class at church, and the focus of the class is, what are your gifts and talents and how do you use them for the Lord? What were you created to do? What did the Lord give you that mix, and could you use that? And so through a period of about 6 months with in this case, a group of guys, we all explored the Bible and what it has to say about leadership and gifts and application and work, and also looking at how business works, how that all works together. And there's a time when you go seek what the Lord would have you do. And so my gifts in modern day terms were coaching and exhortation, the other teaching. And so I basically put that all together and began to realize, well, it's storytelling based on my experience and what I had done with media, film, and TV, and even radio. And so I spent some time between Christmas and New Year's during that period by myself up in the Sierra. I had a home up there, and was out walking the flume trails. These are the trails that fed the gold mines and the towns during the gold rush. And it was a clear sky, wasn't snowy, but cold winter, and walking. And I just been seeking the Lord and praying about this for a while. And as walking along, I just, Lord, what is it you'd have me do? And clear inspiration into my head about make a documentary film. I'm thinking, well, that was pretty clear. Okay, so I'm walking a little faster now. As I'm getting down the trail some more, get more inspiration. Make a documentary film, make it on service dogs. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, anybody around here, I'm not crazy, but that was pretty clear. So I'm walking faster now, and I get back to the car, and the first business day of the year, I'm calling service dog organizations in the San Francisco Bay Area where I lived. Within a few hours, I had a call back.
So I got to ask, did you have a history with service dogs? What was your connection?
No, I just love dogs. I had dogs growing up. And then because of traveling and just living life, I didn't have a dog actually until a few months ago. My wife and I now have a little puppy, but that's another story.
Yeah.
So I always enjoyed dogs and had them, but it wouldn't have been fair for me to have a dog if I was traveling so much. And so, but I love dogs, and the Lord gave me a very clear inspiration.
Yeah, so it was dropped into your heart. It really wasn't something that you already had a passion for. So it was a clear calling, sounds like.
Yes.
Very interesting. Tell us about the plans for the project. What stage are you in right now? What do you envision for it?
So we've done principal photography for season 1, and that topic is diabetic alert dogs. These are dogs that can determine blood sugar changes 30 to 45 minutes before the meter. So the dogs beat technology.
Wow.
And so we're actually crowdfunding for finishing funds for the first season and just trying to build an audience, because we really believe, the team that we have here working on this, that every service dog handler and service dog have a story to tell, and people want to know about that. It's a good, filling kind of story, and it's a situation where we really think that it is an example of how dogs save lives every day.
And for future seasons, I'm assuming then it would be service dogs with different purposes?
Right. So we decided to even expand out. So service dogs, there's different types. Mm-hmm. And we decided with the podcast as well is that, well, let's look at service, therapy, and working dogs. They're all doing different things, but they're all dogs doing what they were created to do. And how they're helping humans, helping God's creation for God's will. Just incredible stories.
So if I understood what you just said, I believe you said working dogs, so that could include police dogs as well as service dogs.
Oh, certainly. In fact, our neighbor down the street here has an Australian Shepherd who is the second time in the last so first year, second year now of some type of national title as a cattle dog, a working dog.
Okay.
And they save lives every day as well. And then there's therapy dogs we've interviewed with here in Idaho that are just making a difference in the world in different ways. So we want to look at all those because they all have stories.
Yeah, quite a variety in jobs that dogs do.
Yes.
And so this creates awareness for working dogs. And your podcast was a project to create awareness for the series and to help raise funds. Is that correct?
Correct. We thought it might be easier to put out a podcast that each one is in and of itself complete versus trying to get people to buy an idea or sponsors, advertisers to get behind something that's not made yet. So we decided to work with a podcast, which has been fun. And so we're trying to build that audience and build a base so it all points back to the docuseries, which is what we started off to do in the first place.
So tell us about the podcast. When did you start it? How many episodes have you completed? And where can people find it?
So we started the podcast last summer. There are 4 episodes up now with a 5th in post-production. So we've interviewed the founder of the Diabetic Alert Dog organization that we focused in the film, the therapy dog group here in Idaho that's very active, a veteran with a service dog, and then the cattle dog handler and trainer. And so those are out there so it's This Paws For You podcast.
Okay.
So then that website is TPFYPOD. So This Paws For You, POD.com.
So since this is audio, we'll spell that This Paws, PAWS, For You.
Right. And so, and then the actual webpage is just the initials because it's quicker that way. But yeah, but that's the name of it.
TPFY pod.
Right. POD.com. Correct.
So as you're creating this and working towards releasing a docuseries, so it is in documentary format, correct?
Correct.
And you obviously have a mission behind it. It is to create awareness. How do you plan to use it? Do you have unique ways to get it out there or ways to work with organizations to help them get awareness? What are your plans for it?
So we're trying to put out the word in all social media. And so we're working on that level right now and looking to partner up with organizations that support or work with dogs, and then even corporations or individuals that have a heart for dogs and service dogs. So we want to continue to get the news out that service dogs, therapy, and working dogs save lives every day. And that they're on the service dog end of things, that there are real service dogs and there are untrained dogs, or what people as slang will say, fake service dogs. We want to educate about that because you have to have a service dog focused on its person and a real one, not because that's just wrong. to take your dog as a fake service dog. So
is that a big issue? Does that happen a lot?
it is. In fact, we think as we're looking at doing a sample episode or a pilot episode, having the first episode on fake service dogs, because that's a big problem. There's even fake service dog training groups as well. It doesn't go just at a fake dog itself. It's even people that are training what they claim to be service dogs and they're not.
And what's the motive behind that?
I think, well, on the companies, it's money. It's a quick buck. And so I can't read people's minds, but on people that say their dog's a service dog, it's because they are just maybe selfish. I don't know.
Okay. Looking for special treatment or something because they're...
Probably. Yeah.
Very interesting. So as you work with various organizations related to working dogs, of course, can be mutually beneficial. Them working with you to market and create awareness for your Doguseries. And then the Doguseries, of course, helps create awareness for them. So those types of partnerships can be very valuable.
Yeah, it's a mutual benefit association, I guess.
So tell me about Springer Education Entertainment.
All right, so my wife and I decided to form a company so that we could have some structure. So my wife's the education, and I'm the clown. I mean, entertainment. I mean, yeah, okay. Anyway, so both. So our goal is to produce family-friendly, faith-adjacent media that is high production value, story that's organic or just flows out of it, and make this available so that we can also support families and have an opportunity for them to have media that the grandkids could watch and grandma can watch. And then out of that, we want to be able to encourage that through what we're looking at to do some family film, faith-adjacent movie night fundraisers, and then even workshops to bring high school, college, families, adults into creating quality media that makes a difference.
Yeah, it sounds like a two-pronged approach there.
Yeah, yes.
Both the film nights for families and the training for young people. Very important.
Exactly. So that's what we can't seem to stop coming up with ideas, and we're just trying to get them implemented. It's mainly my job. My wife, she's in higher education, and she has what she's doing, so she doesn't mind if I go do my thing, and sometimes they come together.
You said something very important there a moment ago in talking about your goals for this with regards to high production value, and I forget the exact words you said, but an integrated story. Good storytelling, I mean, is absolutely fundamental to any of this being successful. And, as we talk about awareness films, and in your case, a series, we've had some high-profile ones in the last couple of years with The Sound of Freedom, as just the ones that come to the top of my mind. the story of Possum Trot, The Sound of Hope, I think it was called.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's others being made on different scales. Some for theatrical release, maybe not quite at the scale of The Sound of Freedom. And then there's people making short films, but those short films are, going to be taken across the country and shown with organizations and groups who can use them to raise funds, to get investors, to attract volunteers. So the value is there regardless of, box office value. But the bottom line is for all of them, the story has to be a good story and well told. And while there may be a mission behind the production, it has to be integrated into the story.
I've heard them say organic is how they want the message to come out. The principles, biblical principles are going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And those things, if it's a good story, it's all going to come out as part of the whole storytelling. It doesn't have to, it's not contrived or forced.
It sounds like your plans are really, really good. And these workshops, do you have any more details about what you're planning for that? Or is it really just in the conception stage as far as the idea?
Well, it's conception to the point where we have talked to people that have done this in other ways before, and then just throwing out ideas about a venue, who we'd have come, a format, and then just trying to we want to find Christian businesses, and I've been doing a lot of outreach to Christian business groups to get behind this, because if we're helping with putting a message out that rings with the businesses, we can get them in front of more customers. It's a business, and so they're in front of more people, then it benefits them, and we're able to benefit people by providing quality media or training them to do their own.
Yeah. Strategic partnerships are very, very valuable.
Exactly.
So obviously, if you're talking about media workshops for young people and film nights in your area, then there is a regional area that we're talking about. So tell us exactly where that is.
So my wife and I are in extreme western Idaho. We're just across the river from Oregon, the Snake River. So we're just 1 hour west of Boise. So Boise's east of us. Being from a big metropolitan area, I don't mind driving. But because of that, the Treasure Valley is what it's called, this part of Idaho. There are towns along the way during that hour commute to Boise or drive that we could do things. So that even Ontario, Oregon is across the river from Fruitland and Payette, Idaho, in the area we're in. And then there's Caldwell. Then there's Nampa, Idaho. There's, of course, Meridian is nearby, and other towns that have people that have this, that are interested in not maybe traveling so far. So if we can find churches in those areas or other facilities, schools or something, then we could put these on. And again, we want to approach the business community to see about a partnership.
Great idea. And so valuable as well for these types of things to be available to young people in areas that aren't maybe typical. It's so easy for young people to find training in some of the major centers, but to bring that to kids who are perhaps in more remote areas, at least as it relates to California or New York.
True.
Very valuable. Take your media mountain with Content Christian Media Conference. Join hundreds of filmmakers, actors, screenwriters, podcasters, and authors on September 22nd to 26th at the 40-acre Christian Film Studio, Capernaum Studios in Poolville, Texas. New this year, hands-on training in acting, writing, cinematography, editing, AI, VFX, and more. Grow in your craft with over 45 workshops. Also new this year, a full-day networking event specifically designed to help you make meaningful connections, grow your community, and build your team. Christian Media Conference has a 5-star rating. Go to christianmediaconference.com and discover the long list of world-class speakers, workshops, boot camps, and more. That's christianmediaconference.com. Let's go back to talk about the Doguseries again for a moment. You mentioned earlier that you're working on funds to continue or finish up that first season. I believe you have a crowdfunding campaign. Is that correct?
Right. So we have a platform called moviebank.tv, which is a ministry and a platform of Christian Ministry Alliance.
Yep.
And so moviebank.tv is where we have our site for the Doguseries. And then, so we're referencing that in all media messaging we put out, is that here's the project. We need listeners, we need subscribers. And if you want to donate, there's an opportunity through the crowdfunding platform as well.
Yeah, and if I'm correct, they have a 501c3 status, right? So that...
Yes, it is.
That is tax deductible?
Correct. It is a nonprofit organization, 501c3, so donations are tax deductible. So what their goal is to support family-friendly, faith-based media. And by donating to them, they go support that, which we're one of their projects to support.
Cool. Well, I tell you what, we'll put a link in our show notes so people can go directly there. And I assume if they do that, they'll see your project.
Right. They'll see the Doguseries is one of the options, or they can go to the Doguseries.com, and there's a link as well.
So tell me whatever links you would like to share right now, or ways that people can find you or get information. What would you like to share?
Oh, certainly. So there's, we mentioned the Doguseries.com or TPFY pod. That is this Paws For You podcast, but abbreviated, and that's .com as well. And then there's our own website that has all links to all things on there that shows what we're doing. That's called Springer. So our last name, Springer, EE, so 2Es.com.
Education, entertainment.
Right. So those link around as well. And then we're on YouTube with the podcast and a page for the Doguseries. Also at Facebook and Instagram. And we tried TikTok once. Well, we need some help with that. We'll see.
Yeah, I just want to point out Doguseries is spelled D-O-G-U series. D-O-G-U-S-E-R-I-E-S.
And that's a play on words.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. I think it's so valuable to hear what other people are doing, especially when it relates to projects that are mission-minded. Of course, a lot of our filmmakers are working on projects that have a mission behind them, but specifically a project that is to raise awareness for a cause and for a need. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Faith and Family Filmmakers podcast. If you've been enjoying this podcast, take a moment to follow or subscribe on your favorite podcast player so you don't miss an episode. And if you'd like to support the production of this podcast, you can leave a tip at faffpodcast.com/support. Bringing filmmakers together for faith and family.